I've been around football my whole life. Junior high, high school, college, and the NFL. And now I'm a broadcaster for NBC in Philadelphia. It's been an entire lifetime full of some phenomenal moments in sports. But I have never been a part of or ever witnessed anything like the unforgettable comeback of the 1980 Holiday Bowl when I was a player for BYU. We played against the famous Pony Express of SMU when they had Eric Dickerson and Craig James. But the guy on my team who led us to victory on that amazing night was none other than Jim McMahon. In my opinion, the greatest quarterback ever to play at BYU. I'll never forget what I saw him do as a college football player, and especially that night in San Diego, when I saw him throw the most famous Hail Mary of the Miracle Bowl.
3 seconds left, 3rd and 10 at the SMU 41-yard line. McMahon all the way back at his own 46.
Back to throw, last down, no time on the clock, it's up in the air, it is deep. I don't believe it, and yet I saw it.
There's certainly been some spectacular Hail Mary passes over the years. Nobody will ever forget Doug Flutie's pass, and many of the other great moments. The term Hail Mary comes from a pass thrown by the great Roger Staubach, when he said after a long touchdown pass that won a game in the last seconds of the game, I just dropped back and said a Hail Mary and let it go.
It was a perfect way to describe it. You threw up a prayer, and if you're Catholic, you throw up that prayer to Mary, who intercedes for you and makes sure that it happens. So this was a Hail Mary.
It was a long pass, and it was way up there. It was a true Hail Mary.
It really was a Hail Mary, whatever that is.
Obviously, the last play is a Hail Mary play, and one of the most famous Hail Mary plays of all time. The BYU Jim McMahon to Clay Brown Hail Mary is listed in Wikipedia as one of the examples of what a Hail Mary pass is.
McMahon never gave up, never ever thought that we would, lose that game. He thought that we would win. That's just the mentality what made him different.
Jim was a great teammate. Not a good teammate, he was a great teammate. I loved to play football when he was there. When you were on the defensive team and McMahon was playing, you would come off the field after the change of possession and you'd get the fastest drink you could because you wanted to be back taking a knee and watching him play. He was fun. He was magical.
Jim would get the ball up on time. They'd actually throw the ball before the receiver even made his break. And then they knew right where he was going to be.
You'd miss a catch. The ball's right in your hands and you drop it. Okay, it was here. He says, my fault, bad pass. He left you your dignity. And so the next play you could come back and you could fight for him.
I remember when somebody dropped a pass and they're down on themselves, he'd always, pat them on the rear end and say, we're okay.
He just had the ability to make great plays.
Jim, for one thing, was a great talent. Was a great athlete in his own right, not just as a football player, but Jim could play basketball. He was a great high school baseball player.
Jim was a very gifted athlete, very smart, very competitive, at least equal to having another coach on the field, which is what you want in a quarterback.
Jim was a great all-around athlete. He could really play everything, and Jim could have been our starting shortstop.
Jim McMahon was one of the more technically sound quarterbacks of his time, and if you watch Jim McMahon in college and what they teach today for footwork and so forth, it's a training film. I mean, he was really good.
He understood what the defense was doing, and the game was super slow to him. I mean, it was like he was in fast motion and everybody else was just in slow motion.
Well, he played his position with just this swagger and this mastery, combination of both, where you just, when he was a quarterback, it's like, oh, we're good. We're gonna win.
I was intimidated by Jim because he was such a strong personality, such a great player. And I thought he was a warrior and just did amazing things on the football field. I couldn't believe every time he had the ball, we would score.
Not just because of what he could do physically, but what he could do, the intangibles of influencing us to play better.
I thought he was phenomenal and maybe the best college quarterback to ever play. With him at the controls offensively, you know, there was always an outside chance, I guess you could say.
He was unbelievable. And so everything was always positive in the huddle. And, you know, even if it was, you know, 3rd down and 23 yards to go, McMahon presented himself that, hey, we can do this, we got this, you know.
Jim was a competitor, and he had a lot of, you know, leadership ability there that we often relied on.
My relationship with Jim McMahon was unique. I had fun with him, but he really didn't never treat me mean. He always respected me and stuff. He was always a great competitor. I could see that even on the field.
All of his teammates would step in front of a bus for him. I'm glad to call him a friend. And that's Jim McMahon.
Well, the thing about Jim that I always appreciated the fact is that whenever he made up his mind to do something, he would see it through.
When you talk to Jim, he'll tell you that the most important lessons he learned about being a quarterback came from the man who influenced him the most and who taught him everything he knew about sports and life. This man was his father, Jim McMahon Sr.
I learned how to play. Learned how to, you know, always give it your best. Play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and play to win. And I carried that with me my whole career.
You know, we didn't have a lot of money, so we just went over to the schoolyard and played catch, played ball. That's all we did. We had a hoop up on the roof of the house, you know, played basketball, and played 2-hand touch out in the street, played baseball out in the park. We did it all.
My dad was my coach until I got to high school. He coached me in football and baseball. He taught me how to play the game, and he always said, if there's time on the clock, there's time to win the game. So that's always been my attitude.
Jim McMahon's father was very instrumental in Jim and pushing him and helping him along at a young age.
Jim's dad was always involved and always supportive.
And I got a little broomstick. I gave Jimmy the broomstick, and I had a little rubber ball, and I pitched it to him. He whacked it way over my head. 2 years old. I said, wow. I always said to my wife, boy, he's gonna make it big. He's gonna go to pros. And he did. It was inevitable. I mean, it was like a man among boys in Little League. You know, you go to a Little League football game, you'll see a score of maybe 7-0, right? We were winning 40-0, 50-0. I mean, he was just throwing the ball all over the park as a 9, 10-year-old.
You know, if I didn't do the right things, if I didn't keep up my schoolwork, I couldn't play. You know, he kicked me off his own team when I was 12 years old. We'd won the Little League championship the year before. We're going to win it again. And he kicked me off the team because he caught me smoking cigarettes.
And I remember I had 2 packs of cigarettes this one day, and I had them sitting on the counter. I went in to take a shower, and I come out, and there was 1 pack there. And I knew I had 2. And we found them, and he had the cigarettes. So that was it. You're off.
I was not very happy about it, but I learned my lesson. Yeah, and you got to earn it. And that's what I learned from it. If you do the right things, you get to be able to do what you love to do, and that's play sports.
Tenacity, hard work, diving for a loose ball, fighting after the bell's rung, you know, just those kinds of qualities that I think you'd want your dad to say, well, that's my boy.
Out there, you practice every day, you're sweating, you're getting beat up, you're bleeding. You go through a lot together, and that's, you know, those are lasting bonds.
But Jim's dad really was just thrilled with the ability that this boy had.
He was a good boy, a little rough in his youth.
He knows that I love him, love for what he did for me growing up, the way that, he disciplined me when I was bad.
I would have always wanted to make my dad proud. Plato said once, "Whom can I teach but my friends?" I think when you show interest in them, they show interest in you. And when you talk a little bit about their lives and their interests and how did their game go, they're a little bit more inclined. Sometimes we don't work hard enough at making our children our friends.
Just terribly proud. He was a good boy.
From San Diego, California, this is the 3rd annual Holiday Bowl football game. Tonight, featuring the Mustangs of Southern Methodist University against the Western Athletic Conference champions, Brigham Young's Cougars.
It was BYU's 3rd trip to a bowl game, maybe 4th, and they had yet to win a bowl game.
They'd go to the Holiday Bowl every year, and they went those first 2 years, and they lost them both, and they'd lost the bowl games before that, so they were 0 for history for bowl games.
And all of a sudden, the pressure was built up. Well, it's great to go to a bowl, but we got to win one. And all the press and the fans, and they think, well, this is really this is a game we can win. I remember looking at the film of SMU, and they had those 2 great running backs, and I thought Eric Dickerson and Craig James, and I thought, I don't think these people have looked at these films. Those guys were good. But I went into that game probably with more pressure, self-imposed pressure, than any game that I remember being a part of.
I remember walking around and looking at these guys from SMU. They were incredible. It was intimidating. They were just so good.
So wherever you are from the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, we wish you a very happy holiday season. Garcia,
I think we knew we were going to be in for a battle. Definitely didn't start out like we wanted to.
Ball tip, almost intercepted by Southern Methodist. McElhenney, there goes the tailback James. This is the tailback, bring it to the outside, might go in, it's Dickerson. Eric Dickerson, the sophomore from Sealy, Texas. There's a fake. Will it result in a touchdown? Touchdown SMU. Oh, this one is going to be a safety all the way over the end line. And it goes to 16-0 on a high snap. This will be a 42-yard attempt. It has the distance. It is good. I don't think anyone expected what we have seen so far here in this 3rd annual Holiday Bowl, that the high-scoring Cougars would be held scoreless with 4:21 left to play in the first quarter, that Jim McMahon would so far be unable to complete a pass, that the Cougars would be without a first down, and that the Mustangs would be leading 19-0. But that's what we have seen.
Those guys were running all over us in the first 3 quarters, and they had some great players. Eric Dickerson, Hall of Famer. Craig James, a great player. Their quarterback was pretty good, and defensively, I think they had 8 or 9 first-rounders off that team.
It was odd to me as a kid standing there and watching our team having to struggle to score points.
It sort of became obvious that these guys were running over top of us. It's like every play was 20 yards plus. It was reminiscent, of course, of earlier times there when we got beat, and so it was like, here we go again.
To see this happen was just, we were all in a shock. I think everybody was.
And I remember just getting so upset that and screaming, you know, we can't win if we keep letting them score.
I think they were a lot better than we expected. I don't know that we had expected Eric and Craig James to be quite as fast as maybe they were.
No, there was definitely a time, halftime-ish, when it seemed like it was done.
2nd and 5 at the BYU 36-yard line. Again, fine protection. This might go all the way. Playground. Touchdown.
The play goes for 64 yards. McMahon has adequate protection. I think that the defensive back.
And to come from behind was really odd.
But SMU just kept pounding. They were just incredible.
McMahon. Intercepted by SMU at the SMU 46-yard line. McElhenney to the end zone. Touchdown.
That was to James. He had lined up as a wingback on the right, went in motion all the way across the formation.
6:52 to play, first half. It is good by a long way. And down goes McMahon behind the line for a loss of about 6. And McMahon has been shaken up.
Frustrated Cougar defenders finally stiffened, forcing an SMU punt.
And there goes Sakahima. Maybe.
He's gone.
He
I don't
is
see a
gone.
flag.
He is gone.
He just makes a truly outstanding move.
I think the turning point came at the end of the half. Vi Sakahima ran that punt back. Before that, I wasn't playing very good at all. I was stinking up the joint in the first half. When Vi ran that punt back, I knew that we had a chance.
He'd be the only one who may think that.
Vi was one of those people that was unbelievable. He had that lateral quickness. He'd catch it, dodge somebody coming in, and go working way around.
If you notice, he catches that when he's kind of on the run.
Because it just hit perfectly and went right up in the air. And we know playing enough football. The ball bounces could go anywhere.
And he caught that when he was, starting to pick up some speed, and boy, the way he just flew down the field. And as a freshman, that was incredible.
Had the score not been what it was, I would not have done it. Because we were so out of it that the ball, when it descended, it hit and bounced, and I quickly figured, and in fact I was thinking about it when I was standing on the field. I'm going to take some chances because there's nothing to lose. There's absolutely nothing to lose. I'm going to take some chances. So what are the chances? The ball hits, bounces up, takes a huge bounce, and as it descends, they quickly surrounded the ball. They're going to walk it down, right, as they do. But I just ran up on them and caught them flat-footed and caught the ball in stride and ran, and 6 or 7 of their guys were standing there flat-footed. By the time I was on the 20, my mind was already calculating how I would celebrate the touchdown. I dropped to my knees and did like a little shimmy like Anthony Davis did. It wasn't original, but it was my first one.
And it's a play just like that could very well spark this Brigham Young team.
First of all, I'm 52 years old, and since we first met when I was 17, and he called me kid.
Oh, I still call him kid. He's still younger than me.
So when he comes over and he puts his arm around me, he says, "Hey, way to go. You're fighting. You're fighting to keep us in this game." And, he told me that inspired him.
That gave me hope, and that gave us hope.
At least we were within striking distance.
This is going to get us, headed in the right direction.
For BYU, the impossible was now merely improbable. For SMU, it was time to finish it. For both teams, the third quarter would be a war. For 15 solid minutes, these two clubs went at it with a controlled fury and intensity that characterized two nationally ranked football teams. All the hopes and passions of an entire season were compressed into 15 minutes of furious football. The Brigham Young Cougars, champions of the Western Athletic Conference, going toe-to-toe against the pride of the Southwest Conference, mighty SMU. And then it was over. As the third period ended, so did the Cougar hopes.
Fourth quarter, the score is 38-19 SMU.
If they can get on the boards again, they know they've got it locked. Actually, they have right now with a 19-point lead.
And the Mustang offense rolled on. And the Cougar defense wore out. And the fans began to head home.
I left the president's box when we were behind, I don't know, 20 points or something. And I thought, well, you know, if I'm with them in victory, I'm going to be with them in defeat. And so I left the box, the old Jack Murphy Stadium down in San Diego, and I had to kind of wind down through the innards of the stadium to get down on the field. But by the time I got down there, we were in it. By the time I got down there was chaos on the sideline, and people were screaming at each other, and Jim McMahon was determined not to punt, and it was. I thought I'd entered a whole new world.
It is fourth down, 1 yard to go for a first down. 8 minutes and 39 seconds left in the game. BYU calls for punt formation. I'm not sure that SMU believes that Brigham Young is going to punt. And maybe Brigham Young is not too sure because a timeout has been called.
The most important time was when, of course, when we were, it was fourth down and we were going to punt. And I just think the coaches wanted to punt and kind of save face a little bit.
And the punting team had run out there, and McMahon was waving everybody off the field. He came over and he was a stream of obscenities. He was cursing at us to get off the field. But the coaches just sent us on to punt. So we were turning around, it was just back and forth looking at each other. They had to blow a timeout, one they didn't have.
I just remember it was 4th and 2, and I called everybody into the huddle, you know, and they said, hey, the punting team's coming out here. I said, I don't care, you know, get in the huddle. And the sideline eventually had to call a timeout because I wasn't coming off the field.
It was fourth down. I sent the punter in, and Jim wouldn't let him come into the huddle, and kept motioning back, and the kid kept going. We kept telling him to get in there. And anyway, we called timeout, and Jim came over to the sideline, and in his own nimble way, he said something like, golly gee, guys, something like that. But he said, you coaches have quit. And he said, we haven't quit. And man, he was fired up.
So when I did come off, you know, there was some words exchanged, and basically I said, what are you guys giving up? You know, if we kick now, we got no shot.
He was speaking my mind. It's like, if we're going to win this game, we've got to go for this. We can't kick the ball away. And so without him being vocal, we would have kicked it away.
And I remember Doug and Lavelle looking at each other like, you know, what do we do? And I just said, yeah, I'll take care of this.
I think that's started giving people hope. And that's when I think it really turned around, and then it was just amazing, everything that fell into place after that.
So I went back in the game and just called a simple check with me at the line of scrimmage, and for some reason they weren't covering Clay Brown. You know, they had nobody covering Clay Brown, so I just called a real simple pass. I know I can throw it 3 yards, and we got the first down.
There's been a change of heart by the BYU coaching staff on 4th and 1. They have elected not to punt the ball away with 8:39 left in the game. They've elected to go for the first down, and they have it on the pass to tight end Clay Brown, all the way down to the 42-yard line of SMU.
Had we punted, though, we had no shot. And that's what I tried to voice on the sidelines.
This is Scott Phillips in motion. Man rolling away from any rush. Ball tipped, but it's caught.
And he is hit just as the ball gets to him. It's beyond me how he hangs on. Whap.
4th and 1, 11-yard line of SMU. 5:36 left in the game. And it is not a touchdown to Lloyd Jones, but within a yard at the 1-yard line. To the outside, and Phillips gets it in. So Brigham Young narrows the gap. Whether it's too little, too late remains to be seen. Well, that makes it a 38-25 game. 4 minutes, 7 seconds remaining. Cougar power has asserted itself here in the second half. It almost certainly has to be at an attempted onside kick.
Ray, have you ever seen a kicker kick it deep in a situation like that? You get enough people down there and make a play on the ball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I might expect. Almost missed it.
I kicked the first onside kick, as we're all well aware, that went about 3 yards. I was supposed to do a drag kick middle, go about 10, 11 yards. I'm supposed to pick the ball up and go score a touchdown.
And so Lee would just drag his toe over it. Everybody would go forward and block, and then Lee was actually supposed to fall on the ball. But the first one didn't work. It bounced up and hit him in the leg.
Instead, I hit it with my heel, and they recover, and the game's over in my mind and everyone else's mind. I thought I lost the game for the team.
So first down, SMU at the Brigham Young 42-yard line. 4 minutes, 7 seconds left in this third annual Holiday Bowl.
I doubted that we were going to win the game. Now, I say that, I felt like we had a good chance until Craig James broke one off of 45 yards with 4 minutes left.
Oh, look out! This is going to go all the way. Craig James.
And I said to my wife, that's it. We're down, 20 points. 4 minutes to go. It's over.
So that just about puts the icing on the cake. And for Brigham Young, it turns out to be its third fruitless trip to the Holiday Bowl.
I think we probably, at that point, might have had an opportunity to, again, just kind of go with the flow and say this year is going to be another year like that.
All right. Brigham Young with the ball here in the closing moments. Jim McMahon trying to add to his passing yardage now. He'll pick up a first down as he runs it out of bounds at the 42-yard line. There's Eddie Garcia again.
Can a kicker be clipped? We'll find out shortly. Yes, he can.
That's like the referee telling the boxer, whatever you do, defend yourself at all times.
He's not real pleased about that either.
Well, I'm glad he wasn't hurt. First down, Brigham Young, the Cougar 42. McMahon on the deep drop back. He's going to let it all hang out. He's trying to hit Lloyd Jones, and he leads him at the 5. Let's see, now how far did he throw that thing?
He's on his own 35, so it's 15 to the 50 and then
60
yards without a lot of effort.
Wow. Throwing back to his big tight end. Clay Brown. Although in a losing effort, Clay Brown has put on quite a show tonight. Is it a touchdown?
It is.
Oh, what a catch by Matt Braga. The officials were almost incredulous on that one, Brady Alderman.
Yes, they were.
The Matt Braga touchdown, which may still be debated today, whether he actually caught it, but he had the presence of mind, roll up over it, raise his hand, and they didn't have instant replay. Whether he caught it or not, Matt will tell you that he caught it. The referees thought he caught it. Maybe if Matt looked like he was unsure, they would have been unsure and they would not have called it. But Matt got up with such confidence that the referees, it probably affected the way the referees call that play.
The thing was almost on the ground, wasn't it? He had to dive for it or whatever, but anything that he could get his hands on, they were so quick off the break, that's what made him good.
So the next time we're supposed to go out and kick an onside kick, I go to Gary Zahner and say, Coach, you sure you don't want someone else to do this kick? And he looked at me and he said, get your blankety blank out there and kick this kick. And I was scared to
That
death.
last attempted two-point conversion of what a difference it would have made.
They got this one. Did they get
Going
it?
out there, kicking it and recovering it and doing the right thing that second time. Breath of fresh air. It felt good. No, it was great.
And it worked to perfection. It was an incredible play.
You never know what's going to happen in those pile-ups. So I held on, and people were trying to grab and squirm and pinch and bite and get that ball. And finally, I heard the official say, BYU ball. Todd Shell grabbed the ball, ran off the field, and in the records, Todd Shell recovered the fumble.
And that is the trophy that goes to the winner of this third annual Holiday Bowl. Brigham Young trails by 14 with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left.
SMU has their starters back in there.
Better believe it.
Back to throw. McMahon looking, rolling to the left. Back to throw. Loop the ball down the left side. Got a man. Caught. Billy Davis got it at the 1 yard line. On the 1 yard line. 40 yards on the play to Billy Davis.
This is as fine a catch as you'll see anywhere.
You want to see how close he was to scoring? Oh my. It is ruled that he was about a foot away from a touchdown. And you know, over 2 minutes remain in this game.
First down, goal to go at the one, hand off to Scott Phillips. He's going to race to the end zone. Touchdown!
It was actually a halfback pass. It was I think, on the 1 or 2 yard line, and classic Doug Scopely calls a halfback pass. Who else does that, right? So, so I'm kind of like half jogging and looking for my receiver going out there, and then I just saw I had the corner, so I just kind of tucked it and turned the burners and ran and scored. But yeah, so that was kind of a fun play.
So with 1:58 seconds to go, Scott Phillips around right end, 1 yard out for the score, and it's now 45-37. They're burning out the bulbs there on the scoreboard at San Diego. All right, they're going to go for the 2-point conversion again.
It's only 2 points, but at that point, of course, everything mattered a great deal.
And now they're going to bring the ball back another 5 yards. That'll bring the ball back to the 8 yard line. It'll be a delay of game call against Brigham Young.
I believe they'll still go. I think they'll still go for the 2-point.
Gate up on the plaza. Pam Burns, security, please. Scott Cully, a wide receiver, has come in with a play. Now Brigham Young lining up with a double tight end, wing left, unusual formation. They've got to get the 2 points. Rolling to the right, McMahon looking, firing pass, 2 points to Scott Phillips.
Completion to Scott Phillips for the 2-point conversion.
There's 1 minute and 58 seconds left in the game, and look at the scoreboard, 45-39.
Oh, yes.
Their 2 deep men are all the way up at the SMU 30. Well, they're going to try the short one. And SMU has it at the 47-yard line. 45-39 is the score. SMU is leading, 1:57 left.
What a weekend, Ray. What a game.
What a game is right. This is McElhenney on second down. And he's going to gain only about 3 yards. Now the clock is running with 1:09 left. SMU will have a third down and about 8 at the 46-yard line of Brigham Young. 1:06 showing on the clock.
As though to pass.
The 2 tackles take off in the gaps as hard as they can.
Lavelle Edwards, listening as a member of his staff, tells middle linebacker Kyle Whittingham.
Outside of it, you gotta just go like that and knock the ball.
That's a pretty good bit of philosophy, right?
And you heard it. Go like Hades and knock that ball loose.
All right. Third down 8. SMU. Brigham Young 45.5-yard line.
I don't know that we were expecting any particular play or anything, and you know, it was one of those things where it just happened to be my way, and and it happened to go my way, you know, where we stopped them for short of it, and so now we had an opportunity. We needed to get the stop, and if we got the stop, then of course we'd have a shot at least blocking a punt.
Dickerson, the tailback. Bennett in motion, far side of the field. McElhenney tosses the ball out to Dickerson at the 50. Tries to turn the corner, cannot. Gets to the 45, gets knocked down at about the 44-yard line.
Or so, thanks to a great play by cornerback Bill Shefflin.
They are rolling the clock.
Yep, 50 seconds now left. 45, 29 seconds. 6 seconds left on that 25-second clock. Maybe they'll take a penalty. 3 seconds. 1. Well, they're going to take a penalty with 18 seconds left. The Cougars have a chance. They have McMahon, who broke all those NC2A passing records.
Hey, offense! It'll be 4th down and about 7 yards to go for the first down, and the punting unit will come on for SMU.
Well, Bill, I mean, he was a great player for us for 3 years. I think he played varsity, and you know, for a little guy from Colorado, I mean, he was a tough player. Good corner. He was one of the leaders on our defense.
Bill Shefflin was the most focused athlete I've ever met in my life.
My part was never to say something. It was always to probably come up with something.
And on 4th down, they lined up to punt, and there was about 18 seconds left in the game. And Bill Shefflin went in and blocked the punt.
Capus out of Kansas City gets a kick and blocked. The kick was blocked by Shefflin. Shefflin blocked the kick for Brigham Young, and the Cougars have the ball at the 41-yard line of SMU.
I didn't watch the game. I don't watch it a lot. I have seen the punt block. There were a lot of guys in there, so there was a lot of effort to get there. I knew I'd get there.
If anybody was going to do it, you know, it was Bill, and he made a great play. It was awesome.
13 seconds remain, Tony. 13 seconds. That's enough for 3 passes.
Here we go. 13 seconds left to go.
So we had time for a couple of plays. I remember the first play I had Clay Brown coming across the middle, like a shallow cross or something like that. And there was a guy tailing him. And had I thrown a good pass, he probably would have got tackled and the game would have been over. And luckily I saw the guy right just as I was releasing and didn't try to hit him with it. You know, I'd already committed, but I didn't want him to catch it.
I was coming across the field, Jim threw it low and away from me, or behind me actually, and so it was, all right, man, it's just one more play.
They have 3 men up front.
The pressure is all on the defense at this point. They have. I'm sure that they're starting to feel it.
And then the second one, I think I threw it long to Lloyd Jones in the end zone, threw it out of the end zone, actually.
Man back to throw. Sets up at the 50, looking down the far sideline. He's got a man open. It is knocked away. Had it been caught, it would have been out of bounds. And now we've got 3rd down and 10 from the 41-yard line. 3 seconds left to go.
We want to block both backs. Everybody run right to the goal line. All 3 receivers. 2 tight end and 2 wide receivers. Throw it up, yeah.
This is it.
This is it indeed. 84 points on the scoreboard, 45-39.
You know why the Holiday Bowl is as good a bowl as there is?
Until that point, it really did seem like, again, it was too little too late. But the punt sort of made me think, at least this is fate, we're going to win this thing now. Because, I mean, too many things have happened now to put us in position. And so that's why I was a little disheartened when the first 2 plays were long passes that went incomplete.
So then there was only 3 seconds left. And when I got in the huddle, I said, hey, look, guys, we've come too far to lose this game. I said, you guys, one of you guys get your butt in the end zone and catch this thing. And the O-line, I said, you're going to have to give me a little bit more time.
And those are still, you know, long shots. So you're still thinking at that time, it was like, you know, nice comeback. At least we have some respect here, but come on, a Hail Mary, it's not gonna pull it off.
You know, everybody talks about the save the game pass. It's exactly what we called it, and we had worked on it in practice, and we knew what we were doing. And you know, snaps the ball, get running downfield. My goal was to be in the center of the end zone.
I saw McMahon drop back because he dropped so deep that I saw him drop back, and then I saw him throw the football, and I watched the trajectory of the football, and then when it landed, I didn't see anything.
I can remember him just throwing it as high and as far as he could.
There was nobody around me when I threw the ball. And what's funny is I still tease Plater about it. I said, Clay Brown's our tight end. He beat you guys all to the end zone.
I was probably on the 40-yard line, and Jim was about on the 50. I think it was a 50-yard pass. It was way up there. It was a true Hail Mary. And but I kind of ran. I guess I sort of ran down the sideline to follow the pass and follow the play, and saw that chaos swirling around Clay Brown.
Well, the ball was in the air, of course. The gun went off, but the play course was still good.
You know what I saw? A bunch of butts. A bunch of big dudes that were standing, and I couldn't see past anybody. And then there was, for like a couple of seconds, nobody knew what would happen.
The ball just came straight down, and right to where I was going, and went up and went through a couple of hands and came into mine.
And he went up, and I was amazed that nobody touched that ball but Clay. I mean, they had, I think, 4 or 5 defenders around him that all went up, and the ball came right down to his hand. So it's somebody was watching out for us that night.
The Holiday Bowl is as good a bowl as there is.
It's as exciting as I've ever been to.
Somebody said last year the Rose Bowl had the drama, but the Holiday Bowl had the dazzle. And it's got it again tonight. Back to throw. Last down. No time on the clock. It's up in the air. It is deep. It is what?
He caught it. It's a touchdown.
Touchdown on the left way. And Brigham Young has won it.
And the fans that were in the stands just cheering, I didn't see anything. We just figured, he must have caught the football. He must have caught the football.
The official goes up with the touchdown, and the place just erupts.
I had no idea. They were trying to rip the ball away from me on the bottom of the pile, and I was holding on to that thing for dear life. That was probably the biggest struggle of the game, was holding on to the ball. I had the ball, and tie goes to the receiver. I don't care. And no, they never took the ball away from me. I came up off the ground, and I gave the ball to the official. There was no way I was not holding on to that ball.
I don't believe it, and yet I saw it. Oh! 41 yards to Clay Brown for the touchdown.
Clay Brown, third touchdown pass. Clay Brown. McMahon dropped back to throw. Look, time had run out. He set up right around the 50, let the ball fly, just throw it up for grab. Brown, surrounded by 3 men, leaped up in the air and took the ball away from 2. What a job by Clay Brown.
Time had run out. Time had well run out. He only had 3 seconds with the snap of the ball. Now all the pressure goes on this special team. We have not yet reached the extra point.
As soon as that catch was made, everybody was jumping up and down. I was excited, but I knew that it wasn't over. I knew I had to go in and do my part.
So I looked up on the clock, and it's a tied game, 45 all, and we're out of regulation. The time had expired. The only thing that was left to do was to send the field goal team out.
And then when Kurt went out there, I remember just looking at him and saying, "Good luck, buddy."
I don't know that there was a lot of talk about, hey, Kurt, let's get it, or anything like that. I think that we all knew that things had to maintain our composure and hit a extra point.
I just knew that I needed to do my part. Everybody had done their part. The offense, the defense, the special teams, the onside kick, the block punt, the return for a touchdown on the punt, the Hail Mary pass, everything had to fall into place. And I just knew, hey, it was my turn now to do my part.
When they line up to kick a game-winning field goal, but I tell you what, that snap has got to be good, and then that hold has got to be good, and just right for the kicker to hit the ball,
So Bill Shefflin kneels down, is ready to take the snap. So as I was standing there focusing on where the ball was going to be placed, I started leaning like I always do, and the ball didn't come when it was supposed to. And to keep myself, I actually was leaning so much, I actually had to put my left foot in front to keep me from falling or stumbling, and that's when the ball was snapped.
And then Kurt started, and the ball wasn't coming, and then it came, and it was that split second of, oh man.
So then I had to recover a little bit and then go through my kicking motion as best I could after having almost stumbled.
Now, if this kick is good, it will be a BYU victory.
This ball is spotted down, the kick is up, and it is good! And Brigham Young has won it 46-45. An unbelievable Brigham Young comeback. The Cougars come from behind, and they win the game 46-45, and it's pandemonium out on the field. We'll present
I can't actually describe the emotion. It was the most incredible adrenaline rush I've ever had in my entire life. And we were all jumping up and down. It was absolutely unbelievable.
Well, after he made that extra point, yeah, then we started having some fun.
I don't know, I just remember running into everybody, and I remember people jumping on me. And
you know, everybody was going crazy. Lavelle was like shell-shocked still. He was stunned. He didn't know what to say.
I look back at Lavelle, and you know, he's got that look on his face like, oh man, did we do this?
I remember Coach Edwards and running up to him, and you know, that's a great man. And I ran up to him, and I was just proud to be able to say, Coach, here's your win. You know, you've earned this.
And at the end, I don't think I ever felt more relieved after a ball game than I did that one. And that may have been one of the more cherished victories because of the fact that we finally won a bowl game.
To have a win like that and in a bowl game like that, I think, you know, that was a special night.
My wife said I jumped a 10-foot wall to get onto the field. I didn't realize it. I'm down on the field with them, and it was incredible. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how incredible that was.
And I turned around, my dad was already on the sidelines.
I may be mistaken, but that may be the only game that's ever where a team never led in regulation and won the game.
There was something wonderful about the lesson of tenacity and courage and hard work and hanging in there. That was a very special moment.
We knew that night was special. And I don't know that any of us knew what would happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years. But the impact of that play and of those experiences and the relationships that were formed is incalculable. Steve Young was a freshman on the sidelines, but he was there. He became a Hall of Fame quarterback.
So those were some fantastic days, some great accomplishments by a bunch of guys that were just a bunch of good guys.
It was one of those events that will live in us forever. It will influence our lives forever.
I didn't want to seem arrogant, and I just wanted to be that person who won and lost the same way. The thing that my dad probably always put in me was, it's going to be hard, was to win and lose like a champion.
That was a game and that was a win that wasn't easy by any standard. And it kind of became a hallmark. It kind of became a symbol, I suppose, of hard work, determination, perseverance, hanging in there, never say die.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Everybody needs to think there's a way to win. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Hang in and hang on and keep trying, and some blessings will come. The breaks will come.
The impact was we win. It was Jim McMahon telling the punt team to get off the field with his colorful language, saying, we're gonna win this game. If you wanna quit, that's fine, we're not gonna quit. Well, guess what? that touched all the rest of us for years and years. And I think, you just grew up with BYU football knowing we're going to win.
Maybe the Miracle Bowl is one of those games that show just how special he could be.
He was a good guy, he was a fun guy, but he was a great leader and he was a fierce competitor.
Lifestyle-wise, Jim is Jim. He's going to do his thing, and he's going to do it his way. And graduating wasn't his way.
One of the special experiences that year was to bring Jim back and have him feel the spirit of a place that allowed him to do very special things playing football.
For me, one of the greatest things after all these years has been to see Jim McMahon come back home to BYU and to see the way he has been welcomed by all the adoring fans and by his teammates and coaches, and to see how much everyone loves him. He is definitely a favorite of the hundreds of thousands of people all around the nation who appreciate his tenacity and competitiveness, and who absolutely loved watching the way he competed and the way he played the great game of football.
A couple of years ago, we decided to bring all the All-American quarterbacks, all of LaBelle's All-American quarterbacks back to BYU, and it was a special weekend.
They came into our team room, and here they come, just one after the other. I just asked our team, who was it that, of all these quarterbacks, that you'd like to represent you? That team wanted Jim McMahon.
They asked me if I wanted to do the flag thing. I said, sure, why not? I told the team, don't think about running, because I'm going to kind of just jog out there.
It turned out to be a weekend for Jim McMahon, because he felt the love of all of us, he felt the love of the fans, and that was a special push at that time for him to go back and finish his education.
How many of us would come back at the age of 55 to take tough college classes, including statistics?
Every player that played in this hallowed field over here contributed something, every single player, but some just more than others.
But Jim needed to be up there, and until he was, something just wasn't quite right.
The Hall of Fame wouldn't be the Hall of Fame if Jim McMahon wasn't in it.
And when I became the AD, people came to me and said, oh great, now we can get Jim in. I said, no, wait. He's got to graduate.
Tommy's been very instrumental in getting me to finish my school, and I've had a lot of help from a lot of different people here.
The last few times that I've seen him, he's had his whole table full of his pink binders and his calculators and his number 2 pencils. He did it and he finished.
Very, very proud of him. It's not easy going back to school when you're 55.
30 years later, nothing's handed to you. He did what he had to do.
I spent more time studying these last 8 months than I did in the 5 years I was here. There's no doubt about it. And it's a hell of a lot harder going to school when you're 55 than it was when you're 18.
I was there when the university presented Jim's graduation diploma. His father, Jim Sr., was asked to present it to him.
This is a great honor that he deserved, through his playing ability of being in the Hall of Fame and have his number retired.
I think Coach Edwards drove him too, and just said, come on, Jim, you've got to do this. You not only you owe it to your university, but you owe it to yourself. And you need to be honored in that regard. And I'm incredibly proud.
I better not screw this up. I just passed public speaking, so.
He did it for himself. He does deserve to be up on that wall, and he did so many great things here.
I did it for my folks. My dad said, you deserve to be in this Hall of Fame. Get your schoolwork done, and that's why I did it.
And it was a driving force within me to make sure he got that.
And I can't ever get very far away from the pride he had in his dad that matched in its own way the remarkable pride his father had in him.
33 years it took.
And I think the teammates, we all believed, but not a lot of other people did. And so here it is.
As I watched Jim walk out to midfield with his family after all these years and saw all the thousands of fans wearing his jersey and chanting his name, I was watching LaVell Edwards and I was watching Jim's dad. Two men who must have been so proud of him. I thought to myself, this might be the stadium that was built by LaVell Edwards, but the energy and excitement came from Jim McMahon. Jimbo, we love you, and we're all so proud of you.
I've always looked up there and seen that Jim McMahon number 9.
Please direct your attention to the West press box as we honor number 9, Jim McMahon, by unveiling his jersey.
You know, I just say it's right. It's the right thing. It's emotional because he belongs there.
I think he was really proud. I think he was genuinely proud. And I thought he spoke very much from his heart. I think it really did mean a lot to him.
We now present to you Hall of Fame and former BYU quarterback, Jim McMahon. Thank you all. You know, when I left here 32 years ago, I never thought this night would happen. Thank you all for being the fans that you are. It was fun to play for you. I look forward to coming back. Thank you.
Did what his dad wanted, and I'm pleased.
I think you always want to make your dad proud.
Just what I feel right now. Just terribly proud